Jennifer, and this is my view from here. Today I wanted to chat a little bit about mom friendships. I feel like this topic is not talked about very much, probably not talked about enough. It's an interesting thing, having friendships as a mom, right? It's way different than what we were used to back when we were single as a teenager or even as a young adult before we had children. Friendships before children it seemed like they were way easier, right? Is it just me? I feel like there was a lot more opportunity to just meet up, maybe even spur of the moment, or even if you are planning ahead with a friend, I feel like it was easier to plan a get-together with them, a coffee date or a shopping trip, because my kitty, because our schedules weren't so full. Ours and our friends' schedules were not so full when we didn't have children. So I feel like it does make things a little more difficult. Obviously, our kids are blessings and we would not have it any other way, but it does create some challenges, and both of my kitties are here to hear about it. It does create some challenges as far as making time with friends. Think back to, you remember back to in the day when you were before kids and, you're single maybe, or maybe married, but no kids yet. And, you call up a friend and say, hey, what are you doing tonight? You want to go out for coffee? And they may have something going on. It's not like, we had no life, but it was, a lot less likely to have to have just that thing in your life, that area of your life where you just can't pick up and leave anymore. So if there were plans, that's one thing. Hey, I've got something going on till like 7, but I can meet after that. Or maybe not tonight, but another day. Tomorrow night's great. I'm wide open. Not saying that you weren't busy then, and there still may have been a few roadblocks to getting together with friends, but it just seems it may have been easier without having to figure out what to do with your children or how to get together, because you can't just pick up and leave them. So you think about the freedom of back then and calling up a friend and saying, hey, you want to go get some coffee and then go to the mall? Yeah. Back then, for me, the mall was more of a thing than it is these days. But fast forward to present day, you have children, and especially if you have children that are too young to stay by themselves. I have a teenager now who can watch the younger two, and let me tell you, that is a game changer. He has a phone, and we can trust him. We can take off for a couple hours. Now, I'm not going to leave him all day with them, but we can take off for a couple hours at a time, and he has a phone, and he can make sure that they're staying safe and that, he can keep an eye on them if we take off for a little bit. I don't do that too much, but that option is there if I need to run a couple errands, or sometimes even if I want to meet a friend and my husband's not around to watch the kids, or maybe it's during the day that I go and need to do something for an hour or two and he's at work, then I have that option that I can say, hey, would you mind watching the other two for a little bit while I run and go do this? And it's not a problem. But when you have all younger children, and no matter 1 or 2 or 3 or however many you have, if none of them are old enough to watch out for the others, and you cannot leave them without supervision, without adult supervision. And it's not a time when your husband's around. You have to figure out childcare before you can get together with a friend, right? You have to figure out, maybe you do plan it for in the evening, one evening when your husband's home, or maybe you work it out with a family member, a babysitter that they can go to so that you can get away for a little bit with your friend. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long, I mean, I wouldn't do it every day, obviously, but there's nothing wrong with that, to do that occasionally, to find someone that can watch them, or just plan it around your husband's schedule, who so that he can watch them while you go, you know, have some friend time. And that's a great thing to do. It's just interesting, the dynamic is so different once you do have kids in the picture. So I wanted to talk about that. It is still really important to maintain those friendships. I think it's really important that we don't distance ourselves once we have kids, because it's just too hard to maintain. It is harder, I feel, but I think it's definitely worth the intention to do so. Especially those friendships that are, you know, they build you up, they encourage you, they encourage you to be a better person, and you encourage each other. And I don't think it's good to socially distance ourselves from other people just to because we have kids. Like, we don't have to do that. So we can think about ways that we can still maintain those friendships, even though it may be hard. You may call up a friend and say, hey, I really need some friend time. What are you doing later? And she may be like, my husband's not going to be home till like 8 o'clock tonight. I can't get away. What do? You know? So I've got some ideas for you. You may have already thought of these, but in my experience, these are some things that have helped me to still maintain those friendships and still be able to get together with them and not let that be a roadblock for you. So first, I would say one of the main things my friends and I do to still maintain that relationship is to have play dates. So we bring our kids along, right? So it is a little different in that aspect, because there are children present. It's probably going to be loud. There's probably going to be a lot of interruptions in your conversation. At least that's how it usually plays out for us. We each have our children coming up asking us questions and things like that. And so it's not without interruptions or noise. It's a little harder to have good focused conversation, but it's better than nothing, right? And plus, our kids are friends too, so they get together with their friends too. So it really works out. They get to play and hang out with their friends, spend some quality time. I get to have some conversation with my friend and spend some quality time. It's really a win-win, other than the fact that the conversation is a little more difficult with, like I said, the noise and sometimes interruptions. Second, of course, there's always the phone, you know, calling, texting. My friends and I like to use Marco Polo or Voxer as well. These are all ways that technology has allowed us to still be able to communicate with those special people in our life, that we can shoot them a message, especially, you know, like text, Marco Polo. I love Marco Polo because you can still see their face, they can see yours. They don't have to watch your message right away or respond right away. They can do that at their convenience, because they may be, you know, making lunch for their kids, or, you know, helping a small child go to the bathroom, or, you know, all the things us moms are involved in during the day. So they can respond when it's convenient for them. So I really like those forms of communication as well. It's not as good as being in person. That's why this is number 2 on my list and not number 1. Obviously, I'd rather be there with them physically, But this is kind of the next best thing to being able to be there with them, actually having a in-person conversation. And it's easy, convenient, and then it's easy and convenient for them to respond whenever they are able to. I also like this method because I may think of something that I want to tell them right away, and if I wait till the next time I see them in person at a play date or whatever, then I might forget. So I typically, if I think of a question or something that I want to tell them, then I will immediately either text them or shoot them a Marco Polo or something so that I can say it while I'm thinking about it, and I won't forget at a later date when I do see them in person. And thirdly, of course, sometimes it is still possible to get together with your friend one-on-one without the children. And like I said before, if you can plan it, it is harder to plan for a time that both of you can have childcare for your kids, but it's possible. And I think it's important to be intentional about that and to not neglect that. So like I said, especially if this is a person that encourages you to be better, encourages you for what's best for you and things like that, lifts up your spirits, I really think that it's important to be intentional about. So, you know, get it on the calendar. I would say get it on the calendar once a month, every other week, however often the two of you decide. I would say plan it though. You do have to plan ahead, but it's worth it. Plan it. Plan it for a time that each of you will have to work out childcare for your kids, whatever that means for you. Work out a time that an evening or a weekend day or whatever your husband's schedule is, that he can watch your kids, and for you for an hour or two that you can just take off and enjoy your time with your friend. And your friend will have to work that out too, and you guys will have to coordinate that that's the same day, that you guys can find childcare at the same time and the same day. We usually do this, my friends and I usually do this during an evening during the week. So we will find a day, an evening that week when we can have someone available that can watch our children for us, so that we can meet up at a local coffee shop for a couple hours. That's typically what we do. Sometimes go shopping, but usually at a local coffee shop. It's a nice, quiet, little quaint place. Get a tea or a coffee and sit and chat. Maybe a baked good. But, you know, it's just a good time, and it's really important to be intentional about that and get that on the calendar however often that you decide with your friend that you want to get together, and plan that out ahead of time. You know, plan that out for such and such date, like next Thursday from 7 to 9, I would like to meet with my friend. Can you hang with the kids during that time? And you know, for me, as long as my husband doesn't have any other plans that night, that's not a problem. He's totally up for that. And same with my friend. So we just have to plan it ahead, get it in our calendars on our phones, or if you're still using a paper calendar, whatever, just get it in your calendar so that it's there, it's written down, it's planned, your child care is planned out, and they know that, you know, what they're expected to do at that date, and it's a go. You're good to go, and you're gonna meet with your friend one-on-one for some quiet conversation, and that's always nice too. So those are the 3 ways that I have found to still maintain relationships with my friends as a mom. It is a little more difficult to make the time, but like I said, the time is, I believe, important to be intentional about. So I hope this is helpful to you and encourages you to reach out to your friends and make that time, whether that's a play date or just shoot them a quick message on your phone somehow, however you guys like to do that, and or even plan some in-person dates together. Go out to lunch or coffee or something and plan childcare for that time, and maybe even some backup childcare just in case that child care falls through, the person ends up being sick that day or has something come up, that you could have someone waiting in line as backup that could take over and watch your kids for you, so you can still go out for a couple hours with your friends. So that's it for today. Let me know down below. Leave me a comment and let me know, are you intentional about friend time as a mom, and what is your favorite way to still maintain that friendship? Do you do mostly play dates, or are you able to get away one-on-one often with them, or do you pretty much rely on just text messaging or some other sort of phone communication? Thanks for watching. Have a great day.